Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk. It's a little late in the day for coffee, but on these cold winter days, I drink coffee till noon. So if you want to, you can save this till tomorrow when you got coffee, or just get another cup of coffee. Okay, so I've been waiting really since I started this channel to talk about this particular subject. Today's Coffee Talk is about ancient aliens. The ancient alien theory. If you're familiar with the Coffee Talk segments, you know that these are segments where I talk about theories that I can't prove but I find interesting. And it's definitely interesting to me, the ancient alien theory. Now, I didn't get this theory from watching the television show. That I was a person who's been studying this theory my entire waking life. My dad, the old Marine and bishop, he discovered this theory when he discovered the book Chariot of the Gods. And I must have been about 8 or 9 when I read that book. And I've read all of the supporting books as well by the different theorists up until the Ancient Alien television show. I kind of started absorbing that. There's hundreds of hours of that History Channel series, and a big chunk of the internet is the YouTube world is on this topic. I don't know how I feel about people like Corey Goode. We talked about the secret space program, but I will say that the concept that there was a pre-Diluvian or pre-flood society that was technologically advanced, I think can be archaeologically proven. And whether you believe they did it with aliens' help, or whether they just did it because they had many, many thousands of years to develop the technology, I kind of like the concept that of the Earth ages, that societies or technological advancements come and go, that we get to a point where we destroy ourselves and we have to start over every time, and that that time periods are just so long that we lose track of the history of it. I mean, think about it. If we were to nuke each other nowadays and all get cast back to the Stone Age and have to start over with a handful of human beings and repopulate the earth, wouldn't our culture be seen of as some kind of fairy tale or some kind of myth? And wouldn't many people in our society and the way that we live be seen as almost godlike or alien in some way? Absolutely. But that brings me to the question of the whole UFO alien thing. Is there life on other planets? Are we alone? And I think that it really, Christians have a hard time wrapping their mind around this. And I don't really understand why, other than I think most Christians' biggest mistake they make is to try to cram God in a little easy to understand box and keep him there. If your God is only big enough to create life on earth, and humanoid life on earth, and animals on earth, and birds are the only creation God ever made, then my God's bigger than your God. Because God, to me, is much greater than that. I mean, if there are millions and millions or billions or trillions of planets and stars and suns throughout the galaxy and beyond in the universe, wouldn't it stand to reason that a God as big as our God would create in other places as well? And then wouldn't it be an easy stretch of the imagination that they could become technologically advanced enough to leave their own planet in search of other creations and in exploration? Have aliens from other planets dabbled in our society, in this one, and most especially the one before us, the pre-Diluvian flood? I mean, there is that whole Genesis scripture about these sons of God who came down and saw the daughters of men and found them beautiful and took them as their wives, and the offspring thereof were men of renown. And you've got giants in the Bible, and you've got almost superhuman creatures in the Bible that are unexplained. Could this be evidence? Potentially. Honestly, I don't have a problem making the Bible fit in with the ancient alien theory. I don't know that ancient aliens actually created us. Now, they might have dabbled in our DNA at some point along the way. Isn't that what that scripture's about? I mean, isn't that about these Nephilim, these fallen angels? I mean, an angel and a demon and an alien, aren't they just names, different names for the same thing? I mean, what is an alien but a creature that wasn't born on Earth? Angels weren't created on Earth. Demons weren't created on Earth. They were created in the heavens, someplace else. So for me, it kind of all goes together pretty well. I don't feel threatened at all by the ancient alien theory. I think it just proves God is bigger than any of us ever thought. I gotta say, I do believe for certain that there was a pre-Diluvian society that was absolutely advanced. If you look at the Peruvian ruins, I mean, forget about the pyramids, whether that's provable that humans built those or not, and whether we built those in our society without technology and, in post-flood times, or whether those are remnants from an Atlantean society that existed prior to the flood, and that this corrupt society is what God chose to destroy with the flood. For me, it all just seamlessly fits together, and I feel like I've kind of proven it to myself. But a lot of Christians are offended by the idea of aliens. Isn't a chariot of fire just another description for a UFO? Could angels be technologically advanced and be supernatural beings at the same time? Couldn't demons possess both technology and supernatural psychic abilities as well? I kind of see angels and demons as two forces, obviously. If you've looked at my two kingdom struggle, there is a universal struggle between the powers of light and the powers of darkness, the powers of good and the powers of evil, that it's kind of universal to all societies on earth, and I think universal to the universe. And that if there are other creatures on other planets, they struggle in the same war that we do. Wouldn't there then be entities, created entities by God, who are on the side of light and those that are on the side of darkness? I think that it's not just a struggle between good and evil in the hearts of men, not just a struggle for control of good and evil in the earth, but also control of good and evil in the universe. And that there's got to be other creations. I think it's arrogant for people to think that we're the only ones. God's bigger than that to me. But I do love this topic. I find it very interesting. I'm looking forward to the comment sections. But if you haven't studied this, Ancient Aliens television show on the History Channel is a great place to look at it. Of course, the original book, Chariots of the Gods, is a great place to start. You start learning your theory there. Do I believe it? To a degree, yeah. Do I believe all of the assertions? Probably not. It's hard for me to believe all of anything. But it does ring true with me. One of my mentors was asked what he thought about psychology and psychiatry, and he said that because he was a demon fighter, he was an exorcist, and he'd like to say that he didn't have a problem with psychology and psychiatry. They've done a great job of cataloging, naming, classifying, and identifying demons. Why can't mental illness and demon possession or demon, what's the word I'm looking for? Demon oppression be the same thing? Just different names? Couldn't angels and demons be the same thing as aliens, just by different names? So that's kind of how I view it. I think it's very interesting. For me, it expands my idea and concept of God, and it makes God even grander and greater than he is, that he could have created other species who have the same struggles that we do, who deal with the same issues. I mean, why wouldn't he? That's limiting God. It's arrogant to think you're the center of the universe. People used to think that the stars and the sun and the moon revolved around the earth. Arrogance. Hubris. So, at any rate, I love the ancient alien theory. I try to watch it as much as I have time for anymore. I don't have much time for it. But you should definitely check it out. And let's have a discussion about it. Are ancient aliens, are aliens demons and angels? Both good and bad on both sides? I think so. I mean, look at the reptilians. Isn't that like a classic demon? What about the blue avians that Corey Good and what's his name? I can't remember the other guy, the blonde-haired kid. I've talked about him before. But, they talk about these blue avians. Well, that's a pretty good description of an angel. Angels come in many forms. Maybe because angels have many genetic identities. It's all so interesting. But at any rate, I will let you guys get busy in the comment section. Let them fly. Let's talk about it. All right, so have a great day, and God save our republic.